Knicks Nation. Today is Wednesday, the 20th day of March, 2024, and I hope that you're safe and healthy today as we're embarking on spring finally. Hope your family's safe and healthy, and I hope that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field who, along with the first responders every day, are trying to save lives. Those also that pick up garbage for us, keep our places clean and disease-free. Those also that make deliveries of important things for our convenience. Double blessings upon the men and women out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children that are victims of child molestation and pedophilia. People who are also victims of prostitution and child prostitution, pornography and child pornography, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators of these things. Double curses on the profiteers of these things. And double curses on the perverts that create the demand for these industries. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. Nearly 600,000 men, women, and children, and many families homeless in the United States of America, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. The New York Knicks are expecting the return of Mitchell Robinson very shortly from injury. A tweet or some social media message was given by Robinson, basically intimating that he don't mind playing in the second unit. Of course, there was a lot of unnecessary drama from people trying to create cliques about that. But Mitchell Robinson has been saying that for the last 2 or 3 seasons, that he would not mind. He's been asked a couple of times over the last 2 or 3 seasons if he would mind coming off the bench, and he said love to. He's been saying that. And the thing is, there are players, for example, if you look at the New York Knicks championship years, the 2 years they won championships, one of the hallmarks of those teams was the unselfishness. There were players that were they're guys that just played a game the right way unselfishly from when they first learned the game. There are guys that have so much individual talent, but they're willing to sacrifice their statistics to win. And then there are guys that never learn how to do that, and they end up either out the league or just getting a lot of stats and never winning. For example, Clyde Frazier, Willis Reed came into the league as team players, as players that understood it's a 5-man game and it's a whole squad needed to win. Then there was a guy like Earl Monroe, who was one of the most individually talented players ever in that time, Black Jesus, Earl of Pearl. But when he came to the Knicks, he sacrificed his individuality in order to win, and he ended up winning a championship. Then there's some other guy, like back in the day, there was a guy that was extremely talented named Marvin Barnes. He was all world as far as talent, but he always would say, Barnes, bad news. He's going, bad news, Barnes got to get his 30. Because that was more important to him than winning the game, him getting 30 points. In today's game, we have similar situations. Mitchell Robinson and, say, Deuce McBride are team players. They want to win. Whether they come off the bench or start is not important as long as they give the team a chance to win. When Julius Randle first came to the Knicks, he was a stat chaser. But over the course of time, he also was willing to sacrifice his stats in order for the team to win. This is especially true since OG Anunoby joined, who is another team player. Then there are guys like Alonzo Trier, who never learned that, and he's no longer with the Knicks. See? So Mitchell Robinson, from the time he was drafted, I said the day he was drafted, his first summer league, this guy's a championship piece. And of course, short-sighted people couldn't see that because they're looking at stats or they're looking at his foul trouble early in his career, and they're saying, no, we'll never win a championship with him. There's still some knuckleheads out there talking about trade him. But no, he's willing to come off the bench. Hartenstein is probably going to get paid very similar to Mitchell Robinson. And to have a two-headed monster like that between Hartenstein starting and Robinson on the MOBBDEEP is devastating. If you're noticing, the energy level of the defense has picked up. Even without OG, there were 2 games in this recent streak, the Philadelphia game and then the last game where they didn't have OG. But Hartenstein's energy, Hartenstein's activity is the driver on the defensive end of the floor. Hartenstein reminds me of a modern version of a guy they used to call Big Red, Dave Cowens. But Dave Cowens was undersized at 6'8", but he was rugged. He was available. It wasn't his stats as much as was his energy and his defensive ability that helped the Celtics win championships. Well, Hartenstein plays a lot like him, except he's a modern version, a little bit more skilled in terms of passing, a nice foul shooter. But again, his energy and his activity on the defensive end helps the Knicks. Mitchell Robinson is otherworldly in terms of his ability to guard the rim and in terms of his offensive rebounding. He uses his extraordinary, in my view, athleticism and length to get balls, like same way Precious Achiuwa does the same thing on a smaller level that most people wouldn't be able to get. So if you have him on the defensive side of the second unit, it would be him, Precious, Hart, and Deuce. And that team would be devastating to second units, especially as you get into playoff time. It reminds me of when the Knicks last went to the championship round. They lost to San Antonio, but they had two guys coming off the bench, one named Camby, the other one named Latrell Sprewell, and they went to the finals. Camby was similar to Mitchell Robinson, couldn't stay healthy if you started him and wanted to play him more than 25, 30 minutes a game. Couldn't stay healthy. But coming off the bench, his minutes were limited. And when he came off, it was a very high level of effect on the game. He had a big effect on the game from blocking shots, running the floor, using his athleticism, getting defensive boards too, and limiting teams to one shot. He used that Bill Russell-like ability on the defensive end in shorter spurts to help the Knicks win. Same with Mitchell Robinson. So Mitch on the second unit. Now, I don't know if this is permanent. Some people start tripping and getting all emotional when I say this. No, he's not going to. The hardest thing on something. It's not an argument. How do we win is the argument. You see, I understand. The NBA has always been kind of a star-driven league. It's big time now because it's global. But even when I was a child, when you had people with posters of Dr. J on their wall or Clyde Frazier, it was the individuality and everybody using basketball sort of like an art form of expressing themselves, right? But it's always been a team game. That's never changed. Winning championships is about team. Thibodeau's always preaching team and preaching how the units function together with different players. That's how he looks at the game. And so because of that, a lot of people can't see it's a team game. And if we can win a championship with Mitchell Robinson coming off the bench, he's willing to do it. And I think it's a great idea, only because MitchRob is more injury prone than Hartenstein. Okay, he's not as rugged. He didn't play the game like that, but his impact is strong. Finishes at the rim, I don't have to tell you, finishes at the rim with an authority that you very rarely see. Is a threat, puts pressure on the rim, as well as the defensive acumen, as mentioned earlier, in terms of his length, in terms of his rim protection, in terms of course, and then getting offensive rebounds as well. So you add that to a second unit with Deuce, which I don't have to speak no more, at least for most of y'all. Now y'all understand what I saw 3 years ago with Deuce McBride. So you have Deuce, you have Hart, you have Precious, who I told y'all was the second coming of Oakley, and then Mitchell Robinson. You play that unit for 20 minutes, they'll destroy most second units in the NBA. Okay, so especially come playoff time. So at this point, you're not going to have Hart on the second unit because apparently Jew is taking longer, or they're taking longer with him than we anticipated. I anticipated Jew being back already, but they're taking longer with him. Okay, but you're still going to have those three guys, and then you'll take one of the bums and put them in there. But you're still going to have a dynamic second unit, okay? And so that's why I'm excited about MitchRob coming back. As far as OG, they're managing him. That's not surprising. So he misses a couple of games. Then he comes back. The elbow is going to get better. It's going to heal. That's the process. It's going to heal as days go by. And then hopefully by the time we get to the playoffs, it's fully healed. But for now, he's got to deal with some soreness. It is what it is. But as long as we have the energy that Hartenstein provides at the 5. And then we have behind him guys like, I love that Tom had Deuce out there with DiVincenzo and Hartenstein, because what you had there was defensive lockdown, which we all witnessed. One of the greatest offensive players to ever play this game, the shooters to ever play this game, is Stephen Curry, part of the Splash Brothers. They were both placed on lockdown because of that defense, even though they didn't have the height that you would have liked, for them to have in that unit. They were placed on lockdown. Now, this is a little different coming up against Denver. They go 6'10", 6'9", and 7 feet across the front line. Okay, but the Knicks have beaten them 3 times this year, but they've had some height, Sims, Hartenstein, MitchRob, to match with them. Okay, I don't know what Tom. I can't predict what he's going to do in this scenario. I could totally understand if he started Precious with Hartenstein this time. He's going to start Josh Hart, so he might start Precious for the height with Hartenstein, or he could very well go what he went with and then force the Denver to choose either to go small or just try to dominate the Knicks height-wise. I don't know what we're going to do. But one thing for sure, Hartenstein's energy is the difference. Having Hartenstein with Mitchell Robinson could mean a chip. That's what we're talking about. We're trying to get this chip. Right now, where we're at right now, if you look back over, this is not even completed 4 seasons. Thibodeau has taken the Knicks to the playoffs 3 out of 4 seasons. Last year, we went into the second round, fought Miami for 6 games. It's on now. Winning time now. And so we have 3 out of 4 seasons, playoffs, winning basketball. What you got now is long-term sustainable winning. And we want to keep that. Our major guys are still in their 20s, with the exception Drew's going to be 30 next year. Everybody else is in their 20s. That means you got a couple more seasons of this team. I'm not looking for them to break up the team, to go chase a star, to give away everything because we got all these draft picks. You can push some draft picks down the road. We want to win. And we want to win now. Y'all enjoy your Wednesday. Shalom.